Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Bullpen. In the bullpen, a man who obviously does not know his own boundaries, he has decided to step in the ring with me, Mr. Michael Oristian, former congressional candidate, California 53rd Congressional District. He lost the primary election on March 3rd, 2020, but active in the San Diego Republican Party, and he calls himself a champion of ideas over identity. Michael, thank you for being on Indisputable.
All right, thanks for having me, doctor.
Man, listen, let's get right into it. Do you believe Donald J. Trump will run for re-election?
Why not?
Okay. And do you think he lost the election, or did some mythical creature steal it from him?
I think it's indisputable that the election was a fraud.
The entire election was a fraud?
That's correct.
So let me ask you this, if the entire election was a fraud, because you voted, correct?
That's right.
When you voted in the presidential election, for the general election, were there other people on the ballot as well?
Yeah, I mean, actually, that's a strong indicator of the fraud, right? Is that you have such disparity between the lead Democratic senatorial candidate in all these different states where you had a huge bounce for Biden in the wee hours of November 4th. So I think that actually points to a lot of the fraud.
So let me get this right. You're saying that not only did voter fraud happen as it relates to President Donald Trump, but the Republicans down ballot across the country, they experienced the same voter fraud as well.
No, actually, you saw the Republicans kept the House in massive numbers. So
okay, so let me get this right. The other Republicans did not experience voter fraud, but President Trump experienced voter fraud.
No, you've had an unprecedented number of presidential only ballots. That just doesn't happen.
In the general, wait a minute, sir. In the general election, when you vote for president, you just said you've had a retention and even some increases on your down ballot. You even had that statewide. Throughout many states, they had some Republican increases, right? But some of those states still went for either Biden or went for a Democratic senator. Georgia's one of them, elected 2 Democratic senators. Seat got taken from 2 incumbents. Are you saying either A, only voter fraud happened to Trump, or B, voter fraud happened to everybody that was on the ballot?
I'm saying, well, those 2 things are not mutually exclusive. If you have a bunch of ballots come in the middle of the night that are fraudulent, and they only have the presidential election for Biden, that's why you're seeing the disparity between Trump and his lead, senatorial Republican option, and Biden and his lead senatorial option. So that's a key indicator, and I'm talking order of magnitude difference.
All right, let me ask you this question. Do you know how many lawsuits were filed from the Trump campaign for election irregularities, and how many were filed by Trump surrogates, various campaign companies?
Let me ask you the return question. Do you know how many of those trials were heard?
Yeah, well, over 60 were filed.
That's right.
Yeah, so over 60 were filed.
Rejected on no standing, so the trial wasn't heard.
So think about this. I want you to consider something, Michael, because I think you're a smart guy based on your educational profile. You had over 60 lawsuits filed, right? You even had the opportunity of the Supreme Court, which is squarely conservative, many of them now appointed by Donald J. Trump himself. You had all of these judges, some of these judges were also outside of the Supreme Court, appointed by Donald Trump as well, and approved by a Republican Senate. You mean to tell me that all of these Republican judges were in on the conspiracy to steal the election from Donald Trump, even those that he appointed to the bench?
Donald Trump did not appoint John Roberts. He's the one who decides what cases get heard.
Okay, wait a minute. First of all, Michael, have you dismissed logic and common sense, brother? Because I feel like, let me tell you why I say that. Out of all the cases that were actually filed in federal court, you had a significant number of those cases filed in front of federal judges who were appointed by Donald Trump. The question is simple. Did those judges engage in a cover-up as well in order to steal the election from Donald Trump?
Well, the number of courts that didn't hear the case, right? You're trying to act like it went to the courts, therefore it went through the courts and it was adjudicated in the proper way. I'm telling you that you're kind of summarily dismissing the fact that the case didn't even make it into the court. Look, it's indisputable. The information's coming out, and so everybody I know.
Do you believe Trump is going to be reinstated?
Everybody I know is eating crow over everything I was saying a year ago, and you will be a year ago from.
Oh, that's a damn lie. Come on, Michael. Michael, you also said that you were going to win your congressional campaign, and you fell horribly short. So your word means very little here as far as proclamations that you're making.
Where did I say I was going to win my congressional campaign in a D+16 district? Show me where I said that.
Yeah. Wait a minute.
Show me where I said that.
Okay, Michael, did you run?
Don't tell me things I didn't say.
Michael, did you run to lose?
No, I ran because I'm able to articulate the conservative values